If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
So we are covering today MDG, the technical architecture.
Okay.
Okay, so in the previous sessions, we covered a few basics like why we use MDG and basic what is the purpose of MDG and how we can actually install the MDG related components in SAP system. So those basic things how we can deploy. So those
Okay.
basic things we covered. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about MDG architecture. So what are the things that, I mean, just to give a basic introduction about master data governance. Okay. So we'll have a SAP MDG system. Okay. So this is your
Yeah.
SAP MDG system, and we'll use this MDG system to create the master data. So when I say master data, in general, it will be like material masters or customers or vendors, okay, or else finance related objects, cost center, profit center. So all whatever we can think of the master data which can be used for any transactional. So we'll create that master data in MDG system, okay, and from here we will replicate this master data to multiple target systems. So we can have n number of target systems in the landscape. So those can be either again another SAP system, or else those can be non-SAP systems as well. Okay, so we create the master data and we replicate the master data to the respective target systems. So the we master data in MDG. So basically master data governance is, it's not only just simply creating the master data. We will use a lot of governance processes, okay, while creating the master data. And we will use all the best practices in creation of master data, and how we can automate the business rules, validations, business specific validations before creating master data. Whatever possible checks or whatever possible derivations, the reviews, everything we will take it through this MDG system. And finally the master data gets created in the MDG system. Once the master data gets created, the data will be replicated to the target system. So our entire focus in this entire MDG course is how we will create the master data, what are the out-of-box capabilities are there, features are there, and how we can make use of, how we can actually customize those rules, how the workflow should look like, and all those things we'll be discussing, and how we can actually replicate the data to the target systems, what are the different replication mechanisms are there. So we will be discussing all our entire this course, the topics that we are discussing that revolves around this master data governance approaches. Okay, now coming back to our today's topic. So we are going to discuss today MDG technical architecture overview. Okay, so how to deploy MDG, how to enable MDG related components in any SAP system. Suppose Basis provides a fresh SAP system, okay, and top of that one, what are the things that I need to install? If at all I have to say this is my MDG system, so I need to enable, I need to install some components. Basically Basis will do that one, but we should, it's better to know for us, so where I can actually install these components. So all those things we discussed in the last session. So you can go back and check that sessions, and if you have any questions we can discuss tomorrow. Okay, so today we are going to discuss, so this is the MDG system, the central one that you can see here, MDG system. Okay, and on the right hand side you'll see the all the different target systems. So target systems in the sense it can be either SAP or non-SAP or any system. Okay, on the left hand side we see some kind of optional integration. This is an optional integration. Okay, and on the top you see here what are the different ways that I can actually access my MDG system. So we will build all that the necessary customizations we do in MDG system, but for the end users or for the IT users or for the any support users, how they will log into MDG and how they can actually access the different tools in MDG. So this particular portion talks about the accessing part. Okay, so first let's understand what is there in MDG, system over here. Okay, so okay, so the difference, like as we discussed in the previous sessions, let's say for example, this is my SAP system. Okay, so now what happens to create a material master? So what I will do is there is a transaction code called MM01. I will actually log into this SAP, this particular SAP system, and I will enter, I'll access this transaction code, which will be for material creation. And once I'll enter all the data related to material master, and once I hit, there is a save button here. So once I hit the save button, what happens, you will have a database in the backend which contains, so this particular record directly gets stored into your the database. Now this so if I'm creating a sales order or purchase order or any goods or any invoicing documents or anything, these are transactional documents for us. So I will use this material just now I created in my sales purchase processes and all those transactional activities. Okay, so that means as soon as you enter whatever you enter in this using this particular material creation or change screens, the data directly gets stored into this one. Okay, now in this is your traditional way of creating the master data in SAP. Now what happens, similarly I'll have a same SAP system. Okay, so this is my SAP system. Okay, now I also activated or installed MDG related components in my SAP system. Okay, so now earlier I'm creating my material master or any master data here. Now instead of this one, I will have MDG specific UI applications where I can create the master data. So what happens, the user will log in into this particular MDG system, and I'll say that, okay boss, you need to use this particular link to create your material. So they will access to that particular link. The form will be opened up. They'll enter all the material related, whatever the data that you are inputting over here for material master, the same data they will be inputting over here in MDG layer. Of course, technically it's a single system. Okay, but we are talking about two separate layers. This is my regular SAP layer. On top of that one, we activated MDG component. Now the user is actually entering creating the master data over here. Your actual database is somewhere here. Okay, so because see, this particular portion is same as this system. Okay, so only difference, this is one SAP system, this is SAP system 1, this is SAP system 2. Okay, if I compare these two systems, the only additional thing that I have is the MDG component I installed in this particular system. Here I haven't installed anything, but rest whatever you see here, this particular SAP box, it remains same. Now ultimately I need my material master in this particular under the database over here. Now what happens is, the end users or the business users, they will actually enter the material master data related all the attributes and everything, and when this hit save button or submit button here, okay, so at MDG level also we have some kind of temporary database. Okay, so there is a separate database. Okay, by default MDG comes up with a separate set of tables. Okay, to store your material master in normal in SAP system, the table name is Mara. Mara is the table name. Okay, so here this is your Mara table. Okay, now if I'm creating material master using MDG, so the key difference between creation of material master using MDG versus directly creating the material in using MM01 transaction, the key difference is here the data directly gets stored into your this particular Mara table. But whereas if I'm creating the material using MDG, first always the data gets stored into my temporary persistent area. When I say that means, see, this is also one table only, like SAP table only. That okay, so this table we call it as a temporary area or staging table. So what happens, once the requester creates the data, it gets stored into this particular staging table. Okay, so that means that material is not yet available in my actual Mara table. It's only available, it only created in my staging table. And after that, what happens? there are multiple users will be there who will actually log into the system, and they will validate the data that you created in the staging table, the material master. So they validated, they will validate that data. So likewise, there are different workflow processes are there. We will take it through some different workflow steps. So this is one set of user, this is another user, this is another user. So at every step level, there will be some review process will be there. So, but and during this entire course, your material is available in your staging table only. So, and only when the final approver, when I say this is the final approver person, so only when this particular final approver approves the record that is available in my staging table, that is the time this particular data gets created into my actual Mara table where I want this table. So that is the time that the data will create. It will be read from your staging table. Basically, the record that is there in the staging table will be pushed, or it will be moved from your staging table to the actual Mara table. So now here, if I create using SAP MM01 transaction, directly it gets created into Mara table. Whereas if I'm creating via MDG, the data will be available in my staging table initially. And after that, finally, after all the reviews are done, that is the time the data will get created into my Mara table. That means we have a clear-cut separation where I'm separating the record, which is not yet approved or not yet finalized, not yet reviewed. So those records I'm keeping in my staging tables. Only the finalized records, when I say finalized records are finally approved records, only those records I will consider it as a golden record because it has gone through multiple review processes that I set up, I configured as part of my material creation process. So it will actually, it already has gone through all these multiple steps, review process and everything. So that is the reason now system will automatically move the record from your staging table to the active area table. Okay, so this particular staging table that we are talking in MDG, that is the major difference. So your MDG comes up with a separate staging table, set of staging tables, where the data gets initially staged into that particular tables, and it will go through all the review process, and finally after all the reviews the data will be pushed to actual your Mara table. So as long as the record is there in my staging table, you cannot use the staging table record for your transactional activities. You cannot use it for your sales order purpose or purchase order or anything, because we are hiding that until it gets reviewed, until it gets approved. Okay, so because there might be some case that during your review process, the steward or the reviewer identified that this material is already available, or this material is not required, or it doesn't have the right information, then he can reject that record. So when someone rejects that record, right, what happens, you can actually roll back that material creation process, and that material won't be available in your Mara table. So you cannot actually use that one. So we cannot actually, I mean, after all this review process, we assume that the data that gets finally approved records are the golden records. In between, if there might be some records where it will get rejected by the reviewer or steward. Okay, so not all the materials that we create through MDG, it will go through that approval process and it will finally move to your Mara table. So it's not like that. So there might be some cases where if the data is not correct, or if that is a duplicate record or anything, so that get data also can reject, that can be rejected by these approvers. So when someone rejects that record, that means you don't use that record for your transactional purpose, because that record, we don't move it to your underlying Mara table or Masi table. Okay, so this staging table is a clear-cut differentiation which differentiates your the active, this particular table we call it as an active area. Okay, and this particular area we call it as a staging area. Okay, so let me write it again. Okay, so this is my MDG system. Okay, so in my MDG system, in the underlying, I'll be having my SAP component, and this is my, on top of that one, I'm activating my MDG related components. So when I activate my MDG related components, so as an out of box, you get some staging tables. It's not one single table, group of tables, you will get it over here. So this particular thing we call it as a staging area. because it's a temporary persistent staging area. Okay, so staging area is nothing but it's a group of tables only. SAP will MDG will create a separate set of tables. We don't create it. So by default, it comes as an out of box, all these staging tables. And your permanent database tables are you will be having anyway, which will come with along with your SAP ERP application. So this tables we call it as a active area. So it's an active area. Only the records which are available in my active area, those records I can use it for my transactional activities. Okay. So initially the users will log into MDG system, they create a record and it will go through all the approval process, and finally the data gets approved and the data gets pushed to the active area so that I can use this active area record for my transactional purposes. Now assume that the record is already available. Now someone wants to edit the same record. So as soon as you approve, you move that record from your staging area to active area. So it will remove that record from your staging area and it will just create the record in your active area. So if at all I wanted to edit that the record, okay, so I'll go to the search application of in MDG. I will search for that materials, and if I find the material, what happens is I will actually wanted to edit that record, right? So when I try to edit that record, when I initiate and change process for that particular material, the record that exists in my active area table will be loaded into again my staging area. And I will do all the changes to that particular record. And after that, once I submit that record, it will go to for the approval process one after other. And these people will review that record. And if they find that, okay, these changes are good to go, they will actually approve that record changes. So once they approve the changes, again, my latest changes, the delta changes will be pushed to my active area over here. Okay, so this is the concept of staging area versus active area. Active area is nothing but your standard SAP tables that we get as part of your SAP ERP application. Let's say that means your Mara, whatever the tables that you get it as part of for material master, the table names are Mara is the table name to store, which will store the basic information. Then you have the plant to Mars is a table which will store your material and plant related information. Then you will have for the sales org related information, it will be MVKE. Okay. Then you will have something called MBEW to store your valuation information. So likewise, whatever the standard out of box SAP tables are there in your SAP ERP application, that we call it as an active area. Okay. And these staging tables are gets created when you activate the MDG component. Okay, and these staging tables will be used exclusively for MDG master data purpose only. Okay, so this is the concept of staging table in MDG. Okay, we call it as a staging table, staging area, so temporary persistence, all these things. Okay, so now with this information, if you go back to MDG architecture diagram. Okay, so as I said earlier, SAP MDG as an out of box. Okay, so the out of box master data that by default SAP delivered, what are the master data that we can govern, we can create using MDG. So those are material master, business partners, plus customers, plus suppliers or vendors. Suppliers or vendors, both are same. Okay, suppliers or vendors. And we also have something called finance objects. Finance objects means like cost center, profit center, GL account, company code. So likewise, we have few couple of objects. So at very high level, if I have to categorize, so these are the three master data that are available in MDG out of box. Okay, you no need to develop or anything. Just if at all you wanted to use the out of box master data, material master creation, you can do some little bit configuration and start using this particular. You can create the master data for these particular objects. Okay, now as I said, staging area, because you are creating the master data for material masters, business partner, finance objects, by default SAP MDG provides staging tables for all these objects. Staging table group of staging tables for material master, and a bunch of tables for business partner, customer, and supplier, separate staging tables. So these tables are generated separately for all of these objects. Okay, and for finance also you have some group of staging tables are available for finance also. Okay, so now this staging area we denote in MDG with something called data model. Data model means, actually what happens, this data model means, okay, so when I say data model, okay, so this is my SAP area and this is my MDG component. Okay, so here we have the tables like Mara, then you have something called Marcy, okay, and MVKE. I'm just giving example MVKE. Okay, now based on these tables on MDG, SAP created the data model staging tables for every of the corresponding to your underlying the standard SAP ERP tables. So staging tables are created over here. So you have one staging table which will be corresponding to your Mara, and one or two couple of staging tables which will be for your Marcy, to corresponding to your Marcy, and you will have for sales organization also to store this one. So there is one more staging table. So you'll have based, so what do you call the base for your the staging table creation is your Mara, Marcy, the underlying ERP tables only. Accordingly, SAP come up with this kind of group of staging tables for material master. Okay, now what happens, this collection of tables, all these staging tables are for material master, because these are part of your only. All these different views of your material master information get stored into different tables. So that's why, so all these tables are for material master. Okay, so now this entire collection of these staging tables in MDG we denote with something called data model. We call it as a data model. Okay, so that means data model is nothing but it contains collection of tables. So SAP created one data model for material master. SAP created one data model, and what this data model contains, collection of tables, and these tables are linked or designed by referring the standard ERP tables. Okay, similarly for BP also, business partner also, which contains your BP plus customer plus vendor. Okay, so this entire thing also will represent with one data model. Okay, one data model, and this data model also contains collection of tables, staging tables, which will store your BP customer vendor related information. Similarly for finance also, there is one data model for finance also, to store your finance related objects also. SAP created one more data model. Okay, so data model is at a very higher node. Under the data model, what it contains? It contains a collection of tables specific to one master data. Okay, so in MDG you have three different data models. Okay, so in MDG we have one data model which represents material master. Okay, and this particular data model contains collection of staging tables. Okay, now similarly there is another data model. The data model name is BP. Okay, which contains again collection of staging tables for business partner, business partner, customer, and vendor. Similarly, there is one more data model SAP created. Okay, so the data model it is for finance only. The name of the data model is OG. OG is the data model name. BP is the data model name. MM is the data model name. Okay, so the only difference is each data model represents one master, and the data model contains some collection of staging tables. Okay. Now, if you look at the architecture diagram, okay, so then what happens, that is what this particular box represents. Here you can see this gray out, this is one data model, okay, which comes as an outer box. And again, this is one data model, and this is for one data model. So there are three data models we get as an outer box from MDG. Okay, now
Akshay, question: do you have any staging models for bill of materials?
yeah, I'm coming back to that one. Just hold your question for a couple of minutes more, then you'll get the answer. Okay, so now you have different data models. So these data models are actually designed by SAP, and they give it as an out of box for us, so that I no need to create any of these data models for staging tables if at all I'm using my material master or business partner or finance objects. Okay, now you can also see something called custom objects. There is something called here custom objects. Okay, so that means in addition to the out-of-box data models, okay, SAP also come up with a kind of a concept that, okay, so maybe these are the common material, business partner, finance objects are the common master data which will be used across multiple modules, whether it can be your ERP side or sales side or purchase side or CRM or anywhere, SRM. So we use, these are the commonly used data models. But there are certain master data is there which is specific to some modules. Okay, if at all I have to say, let's say for example you have article master. Okay, so article master is a one master data that actually whoever is using this IS retail space in SAP, you have an industrial specific solution called IS retail. So if you activate IS retail solutions, if you using IS retail solutions from SAP, then that means their article master is a one master data which we will main master data which we will be using that in IS retail space. That is similar to your material master only, but article master has some more attributes, and it has some IS retail specific functionalities as well. Okay, so article master is not there here. So there is no governance out of box from SAP that they are not covering that article master. Similarly, equipment master, if you are using plant maintenance module, SAP PM module, you will be using that equipment as a one master data. Similarly, functional location as a one master data in PM module. Similarly, bill of material is also another module, another master data in SAP PM module. So SAP, if at all SAP has to start building all these kind of data models, staging tables for every module, so then they will end up creating so many master datas. Okay, and so instead of spending more time on creating all these different master data objects in different SAP modules, SAP come up with the concept called custom object framework. So what does this custom object framework means? Okay, so if at all in your organization you feel that equipment or functional location or bill of material as a one master data object, then there is no coverage or from the out of box. So in that case, what SAP says is that you can make use of this custom object framework and you build your own master data. So that means you need to create the staging tables, you need to create all the UI applications and everything. Okay, so the MDG framework will support creating your master data also. Okay, it's not only using the out of box master data. If at all you wanted to design, you can actually build your own master data in MDG, develop that as a one master data using MDG features, and then start using that governing. You can start using that particular object through MDG processes. Okay, now that means not only SAP covers the standard, it also supports where you can actually go and develop your own master data, and after that start using that particular master data creation or change process from MDG. Okay, so using this custom object framework, what happened is SAP partnered with some other SAP partnered with some company, and they actually that particular company developed these particular masters like article master, AR. AR is the data model name. Okay, so that particular SAP partner, they using the custom object framework, they developed article master. When I say they developed article master means like how you have the solution for these standard objects like your staging tables and your UI applications to create your article master and the workflows. So end to end, the replication processes and the validations, derivations. So whatever the MDG governance capabilities are there, you can actually make use of all those things for this article master also. Okay, so either I can do that the development, or else I can make use of so this particular, if at all you wanted to use this article master solutions also, then you need to take the license from that SAP partner, or else SAP also supports that. Okay, though it is developed by SAP partner, but it is officially SAP will be supporting this one, like how it is supporting the standard objects, SAP also supporting this one. So you no need to develop anything for article master, just take the license from SAP partner or SAP and start using that article master. So if at all you are using IS retail space, before MDG, the transaction code to create the articles are MM41. Now, instead of MM41, you can make use of the out-of-box article master UI applications in MDG to create the master data. So in the same way, SAP also come up with the partners, the same partners. This is in IS retail space. This is in IS retail space. Okay, so like Walmart and probably there are many other companies are using this solution already. Okay, Walmart is one of the example, and there are many other organizations also who are actually leaders in retail space. So they are actually using these solutions, article master solution also. Okay, in the same way, SAP also created master data for equipment. Okay, so the same organization, SAP partner only, the SAP partner only developed article master, equipment master, and functional location, and BOM, bill of material. There are few more objects are there. So these objects are falls under whoever is using SAP plant maintenance module, PM module, in so they can actually make use of these out of box solutions. Similarly, whoever using IS retail solutions, they can make use of article master also from MDG. So these are the out of box. Now, how SAP partners developed these solutions? Okay, they make use of this particular custom object framework only. So they make use of custom object framework and they developed those objects. Okay, now in my organization, because your client got the license for SAP and they're already using material finance business partner or these the solution extensions, we call these objects whatever you see here, article master, equipment, functional location, BOM. So these we call it as a SAP call it as a SOLEX. That means solution extensions. So the MDG solution extended to these particular master data objects. So that's why they come up with the name called SOLEX, solution extensions. Okay, so these are developed by purely by SAP, and these objects are developed by SAP partners. Okay, now in the same way, for example, in my organization, usually how do we create a plant? Okay, we go to the SPRO configuration and we create a plant. Or else if you have some employee master, or probably you are going to create some company code or probably WBS element or something like that. So you might be using some other objects also, you treat them as a master data, but there is no solution from standard SAP. Then that is where your custom object framework will come into picture. Because using this custom object framework, how these SAP partners developed solutions for article, equipment, functional location, in the same way as an MDG also, we can also develop similar kind of objects. Okay, we can also develop similar kind of objects, custom objects we can also build. Okay, so this is just like you take in SAP come up with some standard programs. Okay, standard reports. maybe if that reports are not probably useful for your requirements, business needs, then what we do, we come up with our own custom report. We create our own Z custom report and we develop that as per our business needs. So in the same way, there are standard objects are there. If your requirement is to use those standard objects only, you can, from this particular list, you can choose and you can use that objects. But okay, and if those objects are not whatever that master data that you are thinking that it's a master data for my business, and there is no SAP solution, that's where we can go with some custom object. Using custom object framework, we can also develop our own solutions, okay, our own data models, our own staging tables, then UI applications. So we can develop these kind of things. Okay, so once you do this one, after that the workflows, rules, derivations, duplicate check, so all those features are the generic configurations. So those configurations, you can actually, those features you can link to your master data and you can use it. How I'm configuring for my material master, it's the same process for my custom object also. So once you develop these your data model, your staging tables and UI applications, then the remaining features of your MDG framework will be common across all these objects. If at all I have to create a workflow for my material master versus creation of a workflow for my plant master, it's the same thing. If I know how to create a workflow for material master, the same theory I can apply for my plant master also. So there are certain things that you need to develop. If at all you wanted to have your own object as a master data, you need to do some developments. So those developments includes your data creating your data model, developing your UI applications, and some technical objects. Once you do that one, the workflows, you can see this architectural diagram, right? So once if I develop okay, so once I develop this particular portion represents like, I can create my own custom data model. So these are the standard data models and this is my custom data model. I need to create my own custom data model. Okay, but of course the framework supports. You don't need to write any code or anything. The framework support where you can actually create your own custom objects. So once you create the custom object, you should have some UI application where the user will input some data and the data should get stored into my staging tables, right? So you need to develop your own UI applications also. This is for your custom objects. Once you do this one, then the workflows, the staging, the validation, whatever the other features are there. So these features are already common. So these features are SAP developed as a generic functionalities or generic components, so that in the backend for every feature, whatever the data model that you are linking, so that once I need to just link my, okay, there is something called workflows are there. Okay, in the backend I need to link this workflow is for this particular data model. That's it. So I can make use of the workflows for my custom objects. And in the same way, the same workflows I can actually create for my standard objects also. So what I'm trying to say here is, other than once you create your data model, UI applications and everything, then later whatever you can see these surrounding functionalities, surrounding components are there. So these are generic in nature, and in whatever the data model that you are linking backend, and these features will work as is. There might be some cases you need to do some little bit of configurations in the backend. Okay, so now if you look at this particular, the central box, so as I said, to activate your MDG components in any SAP system, first you should have an SAP system. So the SAP system is this one. Okay, so this particular SAP system where you will have ABAP stack and you will have something called ERP stack, whether it is a ECC system or it is an SAP S4 HANA system. Okay, in both the cases, the underlying component you should have bare minimum these two components. If I have these two components on top of this one, I can always activate my MDG related functionalities. Basically, this is an add-on component. So this your MDG component, we call it as an add-on component. I can install on top of my existing SAP ERP system. So that is the reason all the time whenever I try to draw something, represent, if at all I have to represent my SAP system, what I will say, first you should take one SAP system where you will have a ABAP layer, and you should have the ERP layer. Now on top of this one, I can activate my MDG related components so that I will get my data model, I'll get my workflow related, all MDG UI applications, and the replication related framework, DRF related framework, validations, derivations. So I will, whatever the out of the features are there, so I'll get it. So this is my complete MDG layer. So this whole thing is one SAP system. This whole thing is one SAP system. Now in this one, I have multiple layers. ABAP layer is there, ERP layer is there. On top of this one, I'll have my MDG system. Okay, so now in this particular architectural diagram, you can see here you have that ABAP and ERP layers. On top of that one, once basis activates the MDG related components, so I will get the out-of-box contents like finance related data models, objects, business partner related, material related. Along with that one, I also get the custom object related framework also. Then after that, the standard UI applications for material masters, business partners, and finance objects, I can make use of the out-of-box UI applications. Okay. Now you will have some out-of-box roles. There are some requester roles, steward role, approver role. So those are also available for all these standard objects. For custom objects, we need to create these roles. The work centers are nothing but if a requester log into the system, he will have his own work center where he can see his inbox and everything. And similarly, you also have some workflows. SAP come up with a kind of workflow framework, okay, in MDG, where you can actually design your own workflows. When I'm creating a material, it should have one-step approval process, or somewhere it should have two-step or two-level of approvals. Somewhere it should have a parallel approvals. Sometimes it should have an auto approval. So once the requester submits, it should get automatically approved. So it depends on different criteria. We can design our own workflows in MDG. When I'm saying that we can design our own workflows, so those workflows can design for the standard objects as well as your custom objects also. Similarly, staging area, which I'm talking, that is nothing but your staging tables, collection of staging tables. Then there is a framework called validation framework. That means what happens is validation framework means validation and derivation means, okay, so this is my SAP MDG system. I have my ERP component. Okay, so earlier I used to create my material using MM01 over here. So when I'm creating materials using MM01 in ERP layer, then what happens is in the backend, system will perform certain validations. Whatever the data that you entered, it won't directly take it and save that record. It will perform some validations in the backend, whether the data that you entered is as per that particular configurations or not. And if there are any errors are there, it won't actually create the material. It will just simply throw an error messages, and you need to correct the data before the data gets stored into my active area or the MARA or MASI ERP specific tables. Now, so these validations are fixed validations provided by SAP. Now, if at all I have to write my own validations, maybe the standard SAP come up with some standard validations. When I'm implementing this at a customer's place, customer will have its own business specific validations. So for that one, to write my own validations, what happens is SAP provided some enhancement places in here itself. So I need to write some ABAP logic to write my own business specific validations. So these are business specific validations. Okay, so I'm talking about this in my traditional way. Now in MDG also you will create the data, and the data gets stored into your staging table. Okay, now what happens is your MDG, when you create a master data using MDG application, so your MDG will also, because it is there on the top of your existing ERP system only. So whatever the validations that you have over here, your MDG will also ensure it will run through these validations. Okay, by default, whatever the validations are there, your underlying ERP component. So MDG also will run through these validations. And if someone actually created any validations under using some ABAP program, so those validations also, basically these two validations also get executed when you are creating material using MDG. So that means you don't find any difference if you are creating a material using MM01. The same checks, the same validations also will get triggered when you are creating material using MDG. Okay, it is because the validations that you already configured in the underlying component. So if MDG because sits on top of your ERP only, so there you don't need to develop again separately any validations. It will reuse the same validations in MDG also. Okay, so this is fine. Now additionally, what happened is SAP also come up with a kind of valid framework in the sense it will have, they also come up with some kind of framework where anyone actually can write their own validations at MDG layer level also. Validations plus derivations. Validations plus derivations. Okay. So now in addition to the underlying ERP thing, at MDG framework level also, I can write these validations. So that means if you are creating any material using MDG, then what happens is these validations will get executed and also these validations also will get executed. Okay. Now any new business rules as part of MDG, if I'm already using MDG, any business rules, if at all I have to incorporate, so we don't do that here. We will actually do those validations in MDG only, because it has that flexible framework where without writing some code, there are two ways you can write the validations. One, we call it as a BRF, business rule framework, or the other way is using some ABAP coding also. Okay, so the target audience for this BRF validations are usually the business people and functional consultant, because they no need to know about ABAP programming, coding, or anything. So it's just like through a wizard you can write some validations. Okay, simple to medium complexity validations you can achieve using this BRF framework. If there are some complex validations, that's where your MDG technical folks will come into picture and they write those validations using ABAP standard. So there are two ways that you can write the validations in MDG. Okay, so however the way, whether you write the validations using BRF or ABAP, so this complete set will get executed when you are creating or changing a material. Additionally, these validations also will get executed. Okay, if you are creating something using MDG. So that is the validation framework. So now if I write those validations, I can write the validations for material master also. I can write the validations for business partners also, and I can write the validations for finance objects. Plus, I can also write validations for my custom objects also. Okay, so when you are creating that custom object, your objects that validations that you specifically created for your custom object, only those validations will get executed. So if you know how to write the validations using for MM or BP or finance, so it will be same for all other objects also. So that's where we call it as a framework. So you will have a common approach for all when you are using all these functionalities, whether it can be a workflows or validations or enhancing your UI applications or configuring the replication framework and all those things. If you know how to do it for one object, for it will be the same way you need to do it for other objects as well. Okay, so we will discuss everything here in this architecture, whatever I'm showing here. So everything is a one topic for us. Okay, so data model is one topic for us here. Okay, so data model is one. This is our first topic. We will be discussing in the first topic in the data model. Okay, and after that, once we complete the data model topic, as part of the data model topic, we will look at how to create the staging tables in MDG and how to enhance the staging tables in MDG. So all those things we will discuss as part of the data model. Once data model is completed, the next step is UI applications. How you can actually submit the data. You need an UI application. Okay, so that's where actually we will be discussing the next topic as a UI application. After once you are done with the UI application, how to develop the workflows. Okay, all those things we will be discussing. The change request concept. So these things we will be discussing in another topic called process modeling. Okay, then these validations we will be discussing under a topic called data quality. Okay, so similarly under the data quality only, we will also talk about the search applications. There are analytical reports, out of box reports, the data replication framework. So those, all those things we will be discussing. Everything is in this technical architecture diagram is a one topic for us in this course. Okay, so we will be learning as part of MDG, we will be learning all these components. Everything is one component for us, one topic, one chapter for us. Okay, so once we learn this one, then on the right hand side, we will be distributing the master data to the target systems, because this is your centralized master data system, and you create all your master data in this particular system, MDG system, and after that you will replicate this master data. Okay, so this is my MDG system. When I say MDG, of course, underlying by default, you will have your SAP layer. Okay, so this is my centralized master data system. And from here, once the data gets created, I will replicate the data to multiple transactional systems, because in my business, either you can have one SAP system or multiple SAP systems. When you have multiple SAP systems, you will replicate the data to all those required target systems. But you don't go and create the master data here. You will create the master data here only and replicate to the target systems. Okay, so that's why on the right hand side you will see all these multiple systems, target systems. On the left hand side you have something called optional integrations. Optional integrations in the sense, let's say for example, while creating my material master or while creating my business partner. Okay, so I'm creating a business partner. As soon as the user and open the UI application, he will enter the address and all that information, and after that there is a tax related information is there, or else you wanted to populate the accurate address with the coordinates. So you need to connect to some external system, for example, to get some DNB or tax deduction codes or anything, some external enrichments you wanted to do for your BP. That's where you will interface with the external source systems to get the data and update your master data. Okay, so that's where you can actually, there are n number of reasons why you will connect it to the optional other systems. So these particular connections are for any external enrichments you wanted to do. Okay, so that's why these are the optional integrations that you have it. Okay, so this is okay. I'll just take a pause. And any questions on this architectural overview? Is this clear?
Yes, no question.
Okay, great. Vikram?
I'm good. That's a good overview.
Sure, great.
Sir, I have a question with Solex. Guess I missed that. Can you explain it once more?
Okay.
Solution extensions, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. So can you explain Solex to me a little bit?
Okay. Solex is actually the word that SAP or the partners, they named it as. Okay. But what happens is, okay, so from standard SAP, okay, in MDG, what are the master data they are going to govern, they are going to give to the users as an out-of-box solution. Okay. So those are material master, business partner. When I say business partner, it also includes customer master plus vendor master. Okay, then you will have something called finance related objects. So those are cost center, profit center, GL account, all these objects. Okay, so you get only these as from SAP MD, from standard SAP as an out of box master data objects. So when I say out of box master data objects, all your UI applications, search applications specific to these objects, the staging areas, the workflows, everything by default you get it. All you need to do just configure it in the system, plug and play kind of thing. Okay, maybe on top of that one, if customer has any specific requirements or they have their own custom attributes where you wanted to add for material master something, so that's where we call it as a extending the standard solutions, extending
Okay.
extending the standard solutions. That means I can extend my material master solutions to add my own business specific attributes, or I can have my own business specific rules, validations, derivations, all those things. The SAP provided a framework where you can actually use that using that framework, you can enhance the solution to as per your business specific needs. Now, then after that, what happened is there are these are SAP commonly they thought that okay, these are the common objects which will be required across all the customers whoever is using SAP. Okay, whether being it's a ERP or procurement or sales processes, purchase process, invoicing, or anything SRM, CRM. So these are the commonly used master data. But there are certain master data which are very specific to certain modules. Whoever is using only IS retail, because not all the customers will use IS retail. Only very few customers will go for IS retail solutions from SAP. We call it as the industry specific solutions, or else IS utilities. So these are the solutions license that some customers will take. Okay, so in the same way, if someone customer is using IS retail, there the master data is article master, similar to your material master only, but article master has some more features or functionalities specific to retail business.
So would Utopia MDG, that would be considered article master?
Exactly.
Okay.
So SAP partnered with this Utopia company called Utopia. Okay, so then what happened is this particular organization, using that custom object framework, they developed this complete article master solution. That means whatever you have already standard SAP provided in IS retail space, so specific to article master data point of view, they replicated the complete functionality in MDG. Okay, so this is in IS retail space. Now, similarly, you also have SAP plant maintenance module. Okay, in plant maintenance module, we have master data. We call it equipment is a one master data. Whoever is using plant maintenance module, only for them, they will deal with equipments. Similarly, they deal with functional locations. They deal with bombs. Okay, then you have something called task list. Then you will have something called object links, object networks. You will have something called MP, maintenance plant maintenance item, MPMI. This is also one kind of master data. So likewise, there are some group of bunch of 10 master data is there, especially in PM module. So the same SAP partner, they also actually developed out-of-box solutions as an solutions for this particular master data also. Okay, so these objects, so in short, okay, so you will have your MM, BP, then finance. Okay, these are from SAP. From Utopia, you have something called article master, we represent with AR. Okay, and there is another data model. The data model is U1 or something. U1 is the data model for PM module. For plant maintenance, the data model is this one. So this particular data model represents all these objects: equipment master, then functional location, bill of material, then all whatever the objects are there. Okay, so these solutions, whatever you can see, these solutions, SAP call it as a SOLEX.
Okay.
So SOLEX means solution extensions. Okay, because they're extending that they're using the MDG framework, all the features of MDG framework, they developed these objects. And if at all any customer wants to use equipment or functional location using MDG, they need to go to either Utopia to take the license, or else they can also reach out SAP for this particular license. But you don't get this license by default. By default, to get the license only for these three objects. Okay, only you need to go for a separate license if at all you wanted to use either this one, either these solutions.
Okay. So let's say the customer decided to go with Utopia, it would be an out of the box for they'll get out of the box AR, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that will have particular objects, correct? Like within it as well. Is that right?
Exactly, that's true. So here, if they're taking the license for article master, you will get only one master data called article master. Okay, so this article master you will get, and it covers, there are two solutions, RFM, we call it as a retail and fashion management. Another solution is FMS, fashion management services. So these two are the solutions that are covered under this article master object.
Can we further customize?
Yes, obviously.
Further
Yes,
customization can
exactly.
be done.
So as I said earlier, once these objects are available as out of box, right? On top of that one, you can add your own custom attributes, you can hide, you can do all your workflows, validations, derivations. So those we call it as a extensions, extending the standard solutions. In the same way, you can also extend the same standard solution, the out of box solutions as per your business needs. It's not only you will use whatever is there. So this works as a base for you. On top of this one, you can configure, you can add more attributes, you can configure different type of workflows, you can enhance the UI applications. So whatnot, whatever you are doing, extending the standard objects, the same thing you can also apply for these Utopia objects as well.
Thank you, sir, for explaining it in detail.
So the framework, your MDG framework supports, it's not like they have given those extension kind of thing. So basically the MDG framework supports all these extensions.
Right.
Okay, fine. So now if you, this is about the technical architecture, because it is very important for us to understand what is there in MDG, what are the different components are there. Okay, so if you look at our course, the structure also, so currently we are discussing this particular topic. Okay, after that, from the next topic onwards, you see here this data model. Here I will be covering the standard objects, BP, finance, okay, even custom objects. Okay, we'll touch base on the Utopia objects as well. Okay, if anyone are interested. But what I'm trying to say here is, if you know for one object, it's the same thing. Of course, we'll look at for all the objects, but if you know for one object, the rest are, it's just a kind of go through and just check it, whether it is whatever our learnings you need to just apply over there. Okay, so your data model, complete data model deals with your staging area, the staging tables and all that stuff. After that, we will be discussing about the process modeling, UI modeling. In UI modeling, we'll be discussing about the UI applications, how we can actually configure the UI applications as per my requirement. So will be how I can develop my own UI application without writing any code. So we'll be discussing many things over here. All UI related we will be discussing. Okay. Then after that, you have something called process modeling. In process modeling, we will be talking about the workflows, and we also basically this is the main part of your MDG. Process model means you are defining a process over here through workflows. Okay, so I'm creating a finished goods material of finished goods. So in my business, finished goods always will follow two-level approval process. And maybe I'm creating some raw materials. Raw material I wanted to route that workflow to different departments, sales department and all those things. So even while creating the material master also depends on your material types, you may need to follow different paths, different way of creating, how to create this master data. Okay, so you will be defining the process over here under the process modeling. You will define, okay, what attributes a requester has to maintain, what attributes the sales department has to maintain, what attributes the purchasing department has to maintain. So all these things will be defined through a particular proper workflow. Okay, so we will be discussing how my the governance process should look like. Okay, so that is what we will be discussing over here under the process modeling. Okay, then you have something called data quality and search application. In data quality means while creating the master data, you should have enough checks in the backend so that you will ensure that the master data that I'm creating should follow all this, it should go through these checks, so that I will ensure that the data gets created after all these things my golden record. Okay, because it gone through all the checks that I configured systematically, and you will take it through the workflow process for where the people will review the data. So we will, in the data quality topic, we will be discussing how I can configure my own validations, business specific validations, and how I can configure my own derivations, business rules, and how I can configure my duplicate check thing. And also you should have a proper search applications also, because if you don't have a proper powerful search application, so then what happens, you don't know whether the material that you are trying to create is available or not. So many of the times what happens, because you don't have any proper search application where you wanted to query your data based on certain parameters, then you go and end up in creating the duplicate records. So that's why you can also configure your search applications on what parameters I wanted to search my materials, or I wanted to search my business partners. So you can configure your own search applications in MDG. So these things will be covered under the data quality and search. Then after that, you have something called data replication framework, where once you create the master data, you wanted to replicate this data to multiple target systems. So you can configure in such a way that only these material types should go to this system, and I don't want it to replicate BPs to this system. So there you will do all that configurations over here. So that entire configuration between two systems, the data flow, we'll be discussing over here. Then there is this is also part of your data replication framework only. And there are certain mass UI applications are there. So how we can, I can load the bulk records into my MDG system. So that's where this data import framework will come into a picture. Okay, then there are some other components that here also we'll be discussing some mass capabilities. There are some DQM is an add-on tool, we will latest edition, so we'll be discussing. So everything that I showed in the technical architecture diagram are topics for us in this entire course.
Question, does MDG support material classification and characteristics?
Yes, yes. MDG supports material classification and complete classification for material master, for business partner, for all other objects, even for equipment functional location also, you can make use of the classification functionality. Okay. Fine. So after this technical architecture diagram, so the overview is, if you look at the complete, this is a complete out of box, whether it is SAP delivered or SAP partners delivered. You have material master, finance related objects, customer, supplier, and business partner, and EAM. We call it as an EAM. EAM means enterprise asset management, which is nothing but your SAP PM module only. It's SAP PM module. PM module, that means your equipment master, functional location, BOM. Okay, so all these things are a part of your EAM. Okay, so we SAP consider this as a SAP EAM solutions, as enterprise asset management solutions. Okay, under this you have multiple. Here they highlighted only equipment, functional location, and bill of materials only, but there are other objects are also there, like task list, I said, object links, object networks. So there are some other objects, other master data is also there, covered under EAM solutions. Okay, and retail fashion management, we call it as an RFM. Under this you can create an article master. While creating the article master, you can make use of all these BOMs, classifications, because while creating article master, you will be maintaining all the different views for article master. Okay, in one, like how when you're creating your material master, you'll have multiple tabs, multiple views for basic material, basic data, material unit of measures, material plant related, MRP related, sales related, valuation related. So likewise in RFM also, when you're creating article, these are the different views that you can actually maintain. Okay, but this entire solutions covered for your article master object, and this is for your EAM solutions or plant maintenance module, and this is for your customer master, business partner, material master, and finance objects. So this is the complete out of box objects available from SAP. Other than this, also the framework, MDG framework supports where you can build your own custom objects also. Okay. So I will stop today here, and tomorrow we will start with the first topic, the first chapter called data model. What is data model, how it look like, and we also see, before going to the data model also, I will just show you one end-to-end demo in MDG, how we create a master data, so that you will correlate in when we are talking about the other each and every topic. Okay, so we will see that one simple system demo tomorrow, and after that we will start with the data model topic. Any questions?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
So
good approach. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So this is all a functional thing, right? Whatever is covered in this MDG course.
It's a functional. I would say that 60 to 70% functional, because MDG is a topic where some technical things is also there. So this the target audience are for MDG functional as well as MDG technical also. Okay. So but most of the things will be MDG functional, and there are, I will also show you what are the places that when you are enhancing how you can actually some places where you can write some program and all those things. So I will touch base those points as well. But whoever is not from the ABAP background or programming background, you can actually just ignore that. Try to, because the coding how we are doing and all those things, you can simply ignore that one. But you can just understand that, okay, where I should go, and at least when I get a technical person, if the technical person is not understanding that one, at least we can guide them to till to that point. Once you show that point, inside that how he is writing code and everything, that he will do it. But as a functional, we can actually, it's a good to know that one. But in short, 30% technical will be there, and probably the 60 to 70% functional we will be covering.
Okay, so we are doing implementation as well in is the part of this training or not?
Yeah. For every topic we will be doing in the system. It's a system hands-on also will be there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Actually,
I had a comment on the two things, right? Showing an end product, what the final target is, giving a demo, and then as you build the pieces of it, it helps us to relate. I always like that approach. I personally do that same approach when I train end users. That's one actually comment. The other one is I'm a MDG functional, right? So what you said makes sense. MDG 100 training is what I did in the past, which talks the functional piece of it. MDG 200 SAP's course is more on the technical side, right? So, just basically, configuring most of these out of box, and get to the point where if there's an additional code is needed because of enhancements or gaps, having a developer to come and do it. But as a functional, you have to go to that point of and point it out what's needed specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I just have a question with GS1 and GDSN integration with MDG.
What is that question?
GDSN integration with MDG.
I didn't understand what is that GESN you're talking.
It's hard for me to explain because I'm not even thorough with it. This is like a third-party integration system, which basically links to MDG, which allows for MDG to basically standardize the material information. So it's like if you external, are you familiar with that?
Okay, is it external enrichment you are talking, right?
Yes, external service.
Yeah, so basically when you are creating any master data, you wanted to make an interface with that particular system and enrich that master data with the actual address data or something. It will connect to that address microservices and get the exact address with the coordinates, right? So I'll be showing the configuration part over here in MDG. Okay, because we don't have that system. So what, as part of this training, I'll be getting only one MDG system. Okay, now we don't have that the third party external systems, because that requires additional license to buy from the thing, right? So that's where I can show in the system the configuration, even how to make programmatically the code snippets and everything I can provide. But here we cannot see a live demo that to connect to that system and get that data.
Okay, because I've just recently started working as an MDG consultant, and
But to
the
reach
most
the point, also, that will be covered as part of our data quality topic. Okay, so data
Okay.
quality means we have, we need to complete the data model, UI, process model, and all those things, right? So
Yeah.
it takes some time for us to reach there also.
Sure. It's just one of those topics that I'm a little bit weak on. I don't have too much information on. So if you can, anything
Yeah,
you can
I will try
provide.
to cover up as much as information over there on that external interfacing.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Akshay.
Great. Any other questions from anyone?
No, thanks, Akshay.
Okay, no questions. Thank you all. Have a great day, and we'll continue our session tomorrow.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.